Bula and welcome to Women's Sports Center. I am Asinate Serevi, your host, and today we share a story of a woman who pushed boundaries and brought Fiji into the Olympic archery conversation. Her journey is one of courage, resilience, and honesty about the highs and challenges of elite sports. Please welcome Dr. Chaandvi Prasad. Bula Chaandvi. Thank you for being with us on the show. Chaandvi, take us back to the beginning. How did you first discover archery?
I first discovered the archery through Facebook, actually.
Yeah.
I was introduced to the sport through our local club. And it was just out of curiosity. One day I decided to go and try it out with my friend. And I stood on the line with the bow in my hand, pulled back. I was actually very scared at first. I was standing on the line and I was scared to let the arrow go. I was scared to release because I thought I'd hurt myself. But when I did release that arrow, something clicked, and I fell in love. And that one arrow started my archery journey.
How awesome. And was that something that drew you into the sport?
Yes. With archery, it's a very quiet and calm, very focused sport, and that was something that drew me in. It was just myself and the target.
Right.
It wasn't very chaotic or athletic like other sports. Absolutely. It didn't require a lot of physical strength.
Right.
And it had a lot of control and self-discipline. And the fact that it isn't a very common sport in Fiji.
Absolutely.
It was a challenge for me too. And I think that also sort of drew me in, so I could, in a way, create my path.
Absolutely. And at what point did the Olympics become a real goal for you?
Okay. This actually, if I'm going to be honest, this actually happened after winning the quota spot and after I lost the quota spot, actually. So 2024, I got the Olympic quota spot and I couldn't make the minimum qualifying score, which was a blow to me, which was devastating at first, but that set the goal. So that set the goal for 2028 Olympic, and that's when it became a real Olympic goal for me.
You won the bronze medal at the Oceania qualification tournament. How significant was that moment for you?
I think it was a big achievement for me, not just for me, but for Fiji as well, because that put Fiji in the Olympic conversation, as you said. That meant Fiji was part of the Olympics. It, earned a spot for Fiji, not just as an individual, but I think it was a great achievement for the country as well.
Yeah. And then, can you walk us through how Fiji secured the Olympic quota place in archery?
Yes, so that was through the Oceania Continental Qualifier held in New Zealand 2024, where I had won the third bronze medal. And so the quota spot was allocated depending on the performance of the athletes.
Right.
And so by placing Fiji there, we were able to win the quota spot.
After earning that quota, you still had to meet the minimum qualifying score. How challenging was that step?
It was very challenging. I just had 3 months, and I had just begun competing in 2023, so I was still a baby.
Yeah.
I was still a baby in archery, and I was sent out, to achieve something that I have never done before. And to be able to do that, not having ideal conditions to train or, being exposed to a lot of competitions also put me in a difficult spot. I did earn a scholarship to go to Korea for 6 weeks for training, and I think that helped me really. At the time I got the quota spot, I was about 100 points behind the minimum qualifying score. And in 3 months, I gained about 50 to 60 points towards the score, but it still wasn't enough to reach the minimum qualifying score, unfortunately.
And what went through your mind?
Oh,
How did that feel?
not getting the score, it was painful. It hurt. The last qualifier was in Korea, so I was all alone. I didn't have my support system with me. I didn't have my family, my friends around me. And going through that moment all by myself actually made me stronger, and that's also what has pushed me.
Absolutely.
And so I felt like I had lost everything. But I kept telling myself, this is not the end. There will be more chances. This isn't the end of the world. And I think I tried to keep myself going. I tried to keep pushing myself.
Absolutely. With that experience, did that change how you view success in sports?
Oh yes, definitely. You know, before I thought success was all about the wins, the medals and everything. But after going through that failure, I can say success is not just about the wins, it's what contributes to the wins. It's the growth, it's the resilience, it's the ability to get on your feet after a fall, you know, after a failure. It's not like you have to accept the failure and learn from it. So yes, it definitely did change my view, and now I'm more focused not on the outcome, but the path that takes you to there.
Absolutely. And even without competing, you brought Fiji into the Olympic space. What does that mean to you today?
It does mean a lot. It does tell me that even though this is a very small sport in Fiji, we can still go out there. We can still achieve that. We can still reach the Olympics. And so that was the first time for a female archer to reach the Olympic space. And I think that is a big message to all the females out there, that you can also, you know, be in that space.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can make so many difference in the world, no matter whether you're in sport or you're not in sports. Thank you for sharing that, your journey, where it all began. After the break, we look at how Chaandvi balances life as a medical doctor while pursuing elite sports. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Women's Sports Center. Our guest tonight is not only an athlete, but also a medical doctor, a true example of discipline and determination. So Chaandvi, why did you choose to pursue medicine?
If I'm gonna be honest, it wasn't much of a choice. I was actually fulfilling my parents' dream of having a doctor in the family, so that's what got me into medicine.
Right. How challenging was it to balance medical studies with archery training?
Oh, it was very challenging. As you know, medicine can be very demanding. With studies, I used to take out time, especially in the afternoons. I would, you know, be at the university the whole day with classes and training. I think archery at that time was sort of an escape for me as well. It because I wasn't competing when I was in med school, so it was a stress relief for me. I would, you know, go to the field and try to forget everything and just be.
Time.
Yes,
Absolutely. Were there moments where you felt like you had to choose one path over the other?
Yes, and well, it wasn't much of a choice actually, because I always had to put medicine at first.
Right.
This was when I was studying, because that affected my whole life. And at that point, archery wasn't as important to me. I wasn't as passionate about archery. So sometimes I would have to, put this behind and just go with medicine. So there would be days, weeks, I wouldn't go train or wouldn't pick up my bow. It was just studying, especially during exams.
Yeah. So with archery and your studies, what does a typical day look like for you when you have to juggle both the careers, like your morning?
So at the moment, because I'm working shift work now, my morning shift is from 6:30 to 2:30 p.m. So my archery training depends on my shift times.
Okay.
So morning shift, usually I'm up by 4:30. Breakfast, shower, get ready. By 5:30 I'm leaving home. 6:30 I start work. I'm there. 2:30 I finish work. I go straight to the grounds.
Right.
So I'm there till 3 to 6 p.m. training, doing all my form training or volume, whatever. And then after 6, I either have gym or I go running. And then I'll reach home by 8 p.m. I will have my dinner, spend some time with my family. By 10:30 to 11, I'm in bed again, starting, getting ready for the next day. But if I have an afternoon shift, which starts at 2:30, it starts at 2 and then ends at 10 p.m., I have to do my training in the morning there. So I get up by 7:30, 8, breakfast, and then I have a setup at home.
Okay.
So when I'm shooting at home, it's mostly form and strength training, and trying to get the technique right and everything. It has nothing to do with the scores, distance training. It's just standing right in front of the target and doing my form training. And then I try to do a bit of like weight training at home as well.
Yeah. That's so awesome. It's so interesting to hear all different sports and how they prep for their schedule for the week. And obviously with work, a lot of stress, a lot of pressure, and then archery. How do you manage physical and mental fatigue?
I've learned the hard way that rest is also very important. Before I used to push myself like, oh no, even if there's pain, even if you're tired, you have to go train. But now I have learned to listen to my body, and I know when I'm tired, and I know when I need a rest. So I don't push myself in a way that I do not cause any injury to myself. I am taking a lot of precautions now, and that, I think it goes for my work as well. Sometimes you just feel really tired, or you're not in that mental space, and I try to take a break from a day off or a break from work as well, just to recover.
Yeah, definitely. Has your medical background helped your performance in sports in any way?
Yes, it has. I think it has given me a better understanding of the body, especially when it comes to rest and recovery. Like, how do you manage that? How do you manage injuries, and how to manage fatigue? And that's one thing that's very important, to be able to manage that. So yes, definitely has helped a lot.
Yeah. And along your journey, were there key people that supported you?
Yes. My parents, first of all, my whole family, they've been there, pushing me at times, and my coach also, especially moments where I'm doubting myself, or and I'm nervous about a competition or something. He's always there to guide me through that. And my teammates, they're very supportive. They're also there for me when I'm not in the right mental space for a competition, or if I'm not able to take a loss or a failure very well, they're there.
How important is having a support system, especially for female athletes in Fiji, do you think?
I think it's very important to have that support system, because as an athlete, not just as an athlete, as a person, you are going to have highs and lows in your life. And to be able to share highs with people, everyone does that, but to be able to share your lows with someone and be given the proper support is something that most people don't have. And that's what matters most, is when you're at your lowest and you're able to get up. And I think having a support system or having people who support you there is then very important, because they are the ones who are able to, help you back on your feet.
That's very true. And during your Olympic journey, what was the biggest lesson you learned about high performance sports?
Um, it's very demanding, and it looks so good from the outside. What people do not see is the behind the scenes, what happens behind the scenes. It's repetitive, it gets boring, and it requires consistency.
Right.
And it requires you to show up even on days where you don't feel like showing up.
Yeah.
It sometimes archery can be a very lonely sport at times. Sometimes especially when I was working in Lambasa, I had no one around there with me, and it was just me training all by myself. And I would sometimes like drift off, or get very distracted and not being able to shoot properly. And I think that's one thing that had affected me, that I wasn't able to keep up. I wasn't very consistent. And that's one thing that most people don't see, is that you get up every day, no matter how you feel, you go out there and you do your best.
Yeah. So what kept you going during the toughest moments?
The end goal. The end goal being Olympics. So even when I don't feel like training, I tell myself, okay, let's just go out there, let's just shoot one arrow. Just one arrow, and we'll pack up and go back home. So I go out there, I shoot one arrow, and I'm like, okay, next arrow. Next arrow, and then it keeps going. And then at the back, I keep telling myself, today, if it's the day that I do not feel like showing up, I tell myself, this is the day that matters. You don't feel like doing it, this is the day it matters. You have to go and do that.
Absolutely. And that's all that 1% that you need to keep you going every day. That's amazing. Discipline, sacrifice, and purpose as the foundation of her journey. After the break, we talk about resilience, redefining success, and her message to young women. We'll be right back after the break. Bula, welcome back to Women's Sports Center. Tonight's story reminds us that success is not only a straight path, but every step has meaning. So looking back now, how has this Olympic journey shaped you as a person?
It has made me stronger, not just physically, but emotionally. I think I now have a better understanding of myself, and it has taught me how to handle pressure and handle disappointments better.
Do you see this experience as a setback or part of a bigger journey?
Right. So initially it was a setback, but now it is part of a bigger journey. I see it as something that is now pushing me towards 2028 Olympics.
In a world where success is often measured by medals, how do you personally define success?
Yes, so success, medals, yes. Medals is just the outcome of your resilience. So I think the success is your resilience, your ability to get up after a failure and continue, just keep showing up, keep going. And I think that's what defines success for me.
And what did this experience teach you about failure and resilience?
So failure can be painful. It is very uncomfortable. it can be disappointing, demotivating as well, but it's not the end. It's not the final. You need to be able to learn from it. It's one of the biggest teachers. It is a lesson. It helps you reflect. It helps you identify problems or things you lack. It helps you identify things you can work on to achieve success.
Yeah, absolutely. What would you say to young girls who feel like they've fallen short of their goal?
I would say not to let that one moment define you. It's just, like I said, it's not the end. Failure is not the end. You have more chances. So don't be afraid to take those chances. Learn from your failures. Just get up and keep pushing.
Yeah. And how important is it for athletes to share not just their wins, but also the disappointments?
I think yes, it's very important. It's very important, especially to the beginner athletes, people who are just joining into the sport. As someone, myself too, when I joined in archery, I would, go and search for all the successful archers, the ones who are winning medals all the time, and I would see. And I would hope to be there one day, but what we don't see is how they got there, the sacrifices they made, the hard work they put in, their resilience, their ability to get up after failure. We don't see that, but I think it's very important for beginner athletes to see that, because as a beginner, you are going to have failures, and that's something that you should accept. It's not like you're getting into a sport and immediately you're the best.
Yeah.
You have to put in the hard work, and that has to be shown to them, that even the athletes who are there on top, who are getting medals all the time, went through the same thing that they are going. They did not give up, and that's a very big lesson for all the beginners.
Yeah, definitely. Has this experience changed your motivation moving forward in archery?
Oh yes, very much. It is much deeper now, and that setback, that initially what I thought was a setback, is now driving me towards my end goal, which is the 2028 Olympics.
Yeah. With your goals, both in sports and your medical career, what is your goal moving forward?
To show up every day and keep improving, both in medical field and archery. I know there are many things that I still do not know, and I accept that I don't know a lot of things, but my goal is to go out there every day and keep improving, keep learning something, even if it's the smallest of things. At least you are learning something.
And when you're done with your sports and your career, what legacy do you hope to leave for young Fijian girls in Fiji?
I want to be seen as someone who did not give up. Even after a major setback, I want to be able to inspire other Fijian athletes to keep pushing, Don't treat your failure as a failure, treat it as a lesson, learn from it, and keep going.
Yeah. And what does it mean to be a role model to young women or in Fiji and all over the world?
I think at first I thought being a role model meant to be perfect. But as now as an athlete, I can see that it's not that. Being a role model isn't about being perfect. It's when you're able to show your disappointments, when you're able to accept your disappointments, and you're able to tell people or guide the people who look up to you that, look, I was there at one point, that I had failures too, but I got back up. It's not always about the success, but if you're able to motivate people with your stories, to get them going, not just in, I mean, I'm not just talking about my sport, but in all other sports, and not just sports, but in all aspects of life. That applies. As a role model, you should be someone who are able to inspire people to keep going.
Well, thank you so much, Chaandvi, for being on the show today. I was very inspired by your story, your journey, and I know a lot of younger female athletes and young girls in Fiji and all over the world will be inspired as well. Tonight, we've been reminded that success is not just about reaching the final stage, but about the courage to pursue the journey, even when it doesn't go as planned. Dr. Chaandvi Prasad's story is one of resilience, growth, and inspiration. To every girl watching, your journey matters, your effort matters, and your story is still being written. Vinakavakalevu for joining us on Women's Sports Center. I'm Asinate Serevi, your host. See you next week.